I don't think I need to introduce you to Superman. He is one of, if not the most iconic superhero of all time. Everyone and their mother knows who Superman is. Now, this video isn't a response or a debunk, but it is my own version of a video made by a user called I Judge Anime. And basically, I agree with mainly most of the video up until one part, which I'll get into later. But again, this isn't a debunk or a response to I Judge Anime. This is just my take on how far Superman became Dragon Ball. But before I start the video, please let me say that 1, please like, subscribe and share the video. It would really help me out a lot. And you know from personal experience that this channel has a lot of variety, from Star Wars to My Little Pony. This is the channel you want to be at. 2, I will not only be scaling the eras of Dragon Ball Superman will be going up against, but I will also be debunking any higher ends or, well, unconventional or wank higher ends for these characters. So you guys not only get a Superman vs Dragon Ball video, you also get an Outerversal Dragon Ball debunk. But I've kept you here long enough. Let's get into how far could Superman get in Dragon Ball. When Raditz first appeared on the planet, he absolutely dog-walked both a stronger Piccolo and Goku from the original Dragon Ball series. They would absolutely upscale Roshi's moon bust, which gets as low as baseline moon level to as high as large planetary plus, which is actually consistent with the series as Piccolo proceeds to do the exact same thing in the same saga. Raditz should also upscale Kid Goku, who had a power level less than 200, and who is verbatim dodging light and light-based attacks from the Red Ribbon Army. Superman, however, is a completely different beast. Even in his younger, weaker state, New 52 Superman is stated to be a universal or all-of-existence level threat. Lowballing this for now, this would make Superman a universal threat, thus he cannot be harmed by anything Raditz can do. As for speed, Superman is casually able on multiple occasions to travel backward through time, which would be immeasurable speed. So not only is he infinitely stronger than Raditz, he's infinitely faster than Raditz. Nappa and Vegeta obviously upscale Raditz, which would make them large planetary or baseline moon level at a base. However, Vegeta is clearly the stronger of the two, as he upscales his own father, who did this feat here, which gets from the large planetary ranges to the dwarf star or brown dwarf levels of attack potency. Vegeta and Nappa should also just upscale the speed from the previous portion, so they should be faster than light or massively faster than light due to the strength difference between them, Raditz, Piccolo, and Goku. It's literally just the same outcome again. Frieza in his first form destroyed planet Namek, which is consistently scaled to the large star levels of attack potency, which would actually be consistent since he upscales Vegeta, a dwarf star level character. Frieza then goes on to get 2 times stronger than his base, and then goes on to get 226,000 times stronger than that. Frieza, while in a weaker state, goes on to destroy Namek, which, I shit you not, its explosion, in the anime at least, is calculated to be around that multi-solar system level plus terms in attack potency. And no, Namek's explosion is not galaxy level. It barely even reached a moon just outside of its orbit, so no, it can't be galaxy level. So with Frieza out of the way, how does Superman... He absolutely slams Frieza. Moving on. The android should blatantly upscale a Beyond Namek Saga Goku as well as Vegeta, as Android 18 and 17 are basically equals, and 18 herself casually breaks Vegeta's arm, which would give her solar system level scaling. Where the saga's power creep really sets in is when Cell reaches his perfect form, where he states he can now destroy the entire solar system, which in Dragon Ball is a galactic nebulae, aka a galaxy. So Cell would be able to destroy the entire galaxy with a Kamehameha. Now, people tend to overrank Cell quite a bit, so I'm just going to be disproving any of his higher ends. So, for one, it is confirmed in multiple sources and multiple versions of the canon itself that Cell needed to charge up in order to destroy the entire solar system. There's also the fact that people like to claim he would destroy everything, or he would destroy the universe, and they like to equate that to Cell just blasting the universe and everything gets destroyed, which just isn't the case, as Cell blatantly confirms he would just destroy Earth, move to another planet, and then continue the same thing. The exact same thing that Boo did, mind you, so no. Cell isn't universal. If I were to grant Cell his multiversal scaling, this would mean he would be at the low multiversal levels of attack potency, as the Dragon Ball universe is a macrocosm that holds multiple infinite space-times within it, so Cell would just kinda cap at those levels. But how can Superman compare to this version of Cell? Well, Superman has shown quite literally that he can sneeze away galaxies and drag entire solar systems away, and he should upscale this version of himself since he's stronger than he's ever been, which means Superman would be in the casual solar system to galaxy level ranges. However, because of the fact I am granting Cell his low multiversal scaling due to being a universal threat, this would mean I would have to go into the DC cosmology a bit more in depth. Now, the DC cosmology's based universes have infinite dimensions that transcend one another infinitely. And yes, this is the case because the comic itself is about the hierarchy of dimensions. So this would scale base Superman to a high hyperversal level because he is a threat to all of existence, which we are lowballing to a universe, which would make him high hyperversal. AKA, he would absolutely obliterate Cell. Moving on. So, the first threat within the Boo saga is Dabura, who is verbatim stated to be similar to Cell in power. So we can just upscale Dabura off of Cell and give him that galaxy to solar system levels of attack potency. You know how this ends. Let's move on to Boo. Boo in a weaker state was going to destroy the dimensional walls within the Dragon Ball macrocosm, a feat which would put him at the low multiversal levels of attack potency, as the Dragon Ball macrocosm is an infinite space with multiple other infinite spaces within it. However, again, Superman is high hyperversal, meanwhile Boo just caps at these low multiversal levels of attack potency. So Superman would again just blitz and one-shot Boo. Now, I'm going to be lumping in Dragon Ball Super into just one large arc. Because their scaling doesn't really change all that much, they just use one feat and then get many times stronger, or are just outright stated to be stronger than said feat. The most iconic feat in Dragon Ball Super, and where most of its scaling comes from, is of course the clash between Beerus and Goku, where they threatened the entire Dragon Ball macrocosm, which would include Otherworld, which is a higher dimension compared to the living world. And no, it's not outerversal, and I'll explain why. Some idiots like to claim that because Otherworld is a non-corporeal space, it isn't bounded by space or time, which doesn't make any sense, because just being a ghost or being non-physical does not mean that time has no effect on you. In fact, the characters who have died within Dragon Ball even state that their experience while being dead just isn't the same as a traditional ghost, so you can't even make that argument. Next, people try to claim that the Otherworld transcends space and time based off of these few statements, when one, most of these are mistranslated and don't say anything about the concept of space and time abstractly, but as Goku's personal experience of time, which would be far more consistent as there is more evidence to personal experience of time not existing in Otherworld, because you know, you don't die, you don't age, energy doesn't run out because you're not alive, then actual abstract time as a conceptual level not existing there, because there's literally no evidence for it. Oh yeah, there's also the fact that we know the distinctions between souls and bodies within Dragon Ball, and Goku is shown to have his body within Dragon Ball, therefore Otherworld is physical. In fact, both King Kai states that Otherworld has gravity similar to that of planet Vegeta's, which means space obviously exists there. King Kai also takes notice of the passage of time within Otherworld, which would also debunk the fact that the abstract concept of time doesn't exist in other worlds, because they are blatantly showing that they have a understanding of time, which would only help my personal time argument be more valid in this situation. So, now that I have proven that Otherworld is not outer-versal, let's continue with the scaling. Now, since Goku and Beerus threatened to destroy this macrocosm, this would actually make them 6-dimensional, not just 5th-dimensional, as in the Broly movie there is a space within the macrocosm, which is stated to be a super dimension. A super dimension, by definition, is a space with more than 4 dimensions, which would make this above the normal mortal universe, which is a 4-dimensional construct. And assuming that Otherworld is above this super dimension, this would actually make Otherworld a 6-dimensional construct, and thus anyone who scales to it, like Moro, Jiren, Zamasu, Granola, and of course Beerus himself, would be 6-dimensional in attack potency. Now we can move on to speed, because Super has really easy speed metas to not only debunk but also to give to said characters. So for more reasonable speed ends for the Dragon Ball Super characters, all of them should upscale the Beerus vs Goku feat, where the shockwaves are travelling an infinite distance in a finite amount of time. This is just verbatim infinite speed. However, things start to get messy when people begin to try and argue immeasurable or irrelevant speed for Dragon Ball characters. Immeasurable comes from the fact that Goku just forces himself through his time skip, which makes him appear in the future, which I don't think is a measurable speed because it is still bound by the speed formula. Now, going backward in time would be breaking the speed formula, but Goku has no feats to show that, or no consistency to give him that immeasurable speed. And irrelevant speed comes from the fact that no concept of space and time exists within the world of void. When characters bend space and can use time-based abilities within the void, and other angels even concede to time being used within the void. So no, the world of void is not outer-versal, nor is it irrelevant speed. And even if you want to cling to that one Beerus statement of him verbatim stating it has no space or time, that's based off of a oxymoron, so no, it's still not. So, can the Tournament of Power fighters, Infinite Zamasu, and even Beerus himself defeat? No, he can. Moving on. Oh, well. Oh, there's really no one else to talk about. So I guess this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and Dragon Ball GT, the most underrated version of Dragon Ball in my opinion, and one of the most downplayed versions of the character of Goku. So in today's video, the final part of this video, I will tell you why GT is not only canon to Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Z, but also is stronger than both Super and Z combined. So not only does Toei say this is the continuation of Dragon Ball Z, Toriyama himself even gives them permission to do so. There's even one part in an interview where one of Toriyama's writers states that Dragon Ball GT has filled in the events of the future, so Toriyama would have to make something within the past, which it's actually shown because Battle of Gods is always placed before GT, which would mean that Dragon Ball Super is just before GT. And no, just because GT Goku doesn't use the God forms doesn't mean that GT isn't canon anymore. In fact, the main reason that Goku doesn't use the God forms in GT is because of his smaller body and the fact that God Ki takes a lot of effort in order to actually use. So if you're one of those people who say that Goku in the Battle of Gods movie absorbed the Super Saiyan God power in his base, then you should logically be able to conclude that because GT happens after Super, that would mean that GT Goku has the God forms and has just absorbed them into his base and is now currently as strong as that. So now that I have proven that GT is not only canon, but at least canon to Battle of Gods, let's get into GT scaling. Since GT happens after Super, this would mean that GT Goku in base would be 526D, as he upscales the Beerus Macrocosm feat, which is actually consistent within GT, as even other characters like Omega Shenron can simply destroy or threaten the macrocosm by existing. This would also include the subspace or even the Sugoroku space, which is not outerversal, by the way. Sugoroku space is outright stated that it is another dimension or another space, or to reach it you need to warp space and time, just like Boo did with the hyperbolic time chamber. Speaking of which, the hyperbolic time chamber is also held in the subspace. You know, the room that has a flow of time, gravity, temperature. Yeah, so if anyone tries to use this statement to claim that the Sugoroku space is outerversal, just point them to this, because they always tend to ignore it for some reason. Moving on to speed, you can literally just upscale them off of Super, so therefore GT would be in the infinite to maybe even immeasurable speeds. Still, it is a very iffy way of scaling speed. And I hope you have noticed by now that Superman would absolutely dogwash everyone in canonical Dragon Ball. So yeah, this is probably my longest video yet. I really hope you enjoy. Please like, subscribe, and share this video, because it really did take me a long time, and it would really, really help me out a lot. So until next time, I'm Chili, I've been silly, and I'll see ya in the next one.